Congratulations. It's
Thanks,
just
man.
1 week left. How are you feeling about the big release?
Feeling good. Feeling like I done an interview yesterday. When I said it to him, I was like, I've had these 6 songs, or obviously more than 6 songs because we wrote a bunch of songs, but mastering these 6 songs, and I've had them in my phone for about a year now. So like whenever I'd go on a long journey or be on a plane or kind of just chill, I put my headphones on and listen to these songs that like only me and a handful of people have heard. It became so like special, like comfort place listening to these songs, and I'd I kind of got in the mindset of wanting to tweak a few things that kind of got a bit dangerous because we kept going back and forth to the producer. So I was a bit of a pain in the ass for him. But I feel like I'm ready for the songs to not be mine and kind of be for other people to have. But I just feel really excited, really excited.
And it's been 2 years since your first EP. Let's reflect on the process of both of the EPs. How different do you feel because you've grown in so many ways and sound
Mm.
has drastically changed? What does it mean to you to be releasing it this year with those 6 songs that you chose?
Like one of the things you were saying there, like, is how much we've grown and the sounds kind of matured and gone in the more band direction. And it's just because I was very lucky with the first EP, Open My Eyes. I had a producer called Rupert Matthews, who still looks after me now. He kind of guided me and he sat really closely with me for the Open My Eyes record because I didn't have a band around me at this time, but I wanted to make a record that sounded like a band. So he kind of built that around me. As much as I wrote the songs and had a fair bit to do with the producing, Rupert kind of led the way with that. And I still absolutely love listening to it because it brings back so many memories. But I think like the main difference this time is just control from my end. Me, Nick, and Tom is pretty much an equal split of producing this record. Yeah, I just had more control, and creating most of the record at home meant that I wasn't paying for studio time, so I could literally spend hours on just like 5 seconds. That just makes it a little bit more yours, you know, because you're dedicating so much time into it. I couldn't be more happy with how the releases went, single wise, even in terms of timing and the choices of which came first. That's been like a massive positive out of this lockdown, is that I feel like slowly dripping these singles, I've given them so much attention instead of just releasing one single and hey, here's a 6-track EP that you can listen to 50% of it if you want, you know, like type thing. So we're kind of like half the EP's already out, and then the other three are sitting there waiting for them next year.
Play with a Heart resonated with so many people. The success that you got on streaming platforms is brilliant. And of course,
Yeah.
it was followed by a really cool video that you guys produced yourself. What helped you maybe achieve those numbers?
I think it was a number of things. I hadn't released music in 2 years. Yet I'd been gigging crazily. We've been gigging 3 times, 4 times a week sometimes. So we'd kind of grown our live following. It was a completely different sound, although it was me and the acoustic guitar. There is an element of luck. I think the luck only comes because you set yourself up for it. Like we put in a whole mini documentary of my career so far, playing this big show. We've done that full-on music video. We've done a studio diary. We've done live shows around that because we were able to gig then. So I kind of think we just snowballed. I think we kind of hit it and then didn't take our foot off the pedal until we got put into lockdown.
Now things are kind of slowly going back. Things are changing, and the fact that you are already allowed to have a finally a live gig, you have not have a gap of not performing live.
It's like
Overwhelming,
6 months, yeah, more than
right?
6 months.
I'm really thrilled that you managed to find the way to actually go back onto the stage, because I can only imagine how heartbreaking it would be not to have a EP release
Yeah,
concert. That has to go together, right?
100%, man. Like we write these songs to play them live, you know. As much as I want people to listen to the record, that I want them to come listen to them live more. And it hasn't been easy putting on this show. Like we've had a lot of things to overcome, and like the other day the government was changing the rules where it's now group of 6, But that's fine because the venue is fully catered for that. Like, I got in touch with a load of promoters, and venue should be catering bubbles of 6 anyway, and it's like limited tickets. It's one-way traffic. We've slotted the timing so it goes fills from the back to the front. The staff have been amazing, and we've put so much work into just getting this gig going. Just announcing this gig was such a massive hurdle. Like, first it was outside gig, then it's an inside gig. Now we're not allowed to play inside, so let's put them back outside. And it's just, yeah, I was just like, well, what do we do? You know, I need to play this. I need to play this live, and I know like everybody's safety should come first. So we kind of just waited. I feel very excited. Finally, we can start playing again.
And hopefully this will be like the end of one chapter of
Mm.
2020 madness, right? On both of your EPs, you have 6 songs. Is 6 songs like a specific idea that you have, or was that just a random thing?
It's just coincidence, man. I mean, like, people say, why don't you just do an album? Why don't you just do an album? I'm not ready to do an album. I don't feel like I have a big enough following at the moment to do an album. We're using these EPs as marketing tools to gain fans, and like to get into the position where when we do release an album, it does really well. The Devil of the Night EP was supposed to be 5 tracks, and we recorded 5 tracks, and it was done. And then I kind of took a step back and was like, we need something on there that's just me and just an instrument and a vocal, to bring it back to something more intimate. 4 of the 6 tracks are pretty schizophrenic, you know, they're pretty much in your face and they don't give you an option but to listen, where it kind of comes back to, oh yeah, he's a singer-songwriter.
So let's start with the tracks. It all starts with Issues. I knew the sound, what I can expect. But
Mm.
then that track was like, oh, shit. It's like, I mean, I know you have a lot of energy, but where did that come from? It's like, if someone would ask me, it reminds me of,
Right.
for someone who doesn't know you, to say, sounds like, let's say, an
Yeah, what would you
essence
compare it to?
of Ed Sheeran's influences in your music in general.
Yeah.
However, that track for me has 30 Seconds to Mars.
Nice.
You
Yeah.
know why? Because you still have the guitar and the vocal, that kind of more Ed Sheeran-ish. However, the instrumental and then that crazy vocal, during the choruses, and then there's these sounds that are more electronic or
Yeah,
just
it's synths. Yeah.
beauty. It's like, wow. I have to admit, this is my favorite track of the EP.
That's great.
Tell me more how Issues was born. Do you remember what was going through in your head when you were writing it?
Yeah, I had a number of things. The last 2 years, I've learned so much about myself. Um, like kind of, sorry, getting emotional. Last year, my dad got cancer, and it was just, I never kind of, you just never expect someone you love to kind of get it, and it was just shit. It was really shit, and every day I couldn't stop thinking about it. But lucky enough, it ends that Dad obviously recovered and went through a few surgeries, and now he's back up and running, which is amazing. But like, it was kind of every waking moment. That's all I was thinking about, and there's a few opportunities. Gig wise, it popped up last year. Ed Sheeran came to our hometown and played 4 shows to like 100,000 people each night, which is fucking mad. And you know what it's like for the industry. Like, people go, yeah, Connor, I think you've got it. I think you've got one of the slots. And then it's like, oh no, Connor, you haven't got it. You haven't got the slot. Someone else has got it. So it's kind of like playing on your heartstrings for months. And then we didn't get it. The acts that got it were fantastic and they done brilliant. And anyone that gets that, you're going to be rooting for, because it's the top gig you could get. And a few other things were really like a weight on my shoulders. And I sat down, and that song unfolded within 20 minutes. I wrote down all the lyrics, it just bursted out of me. That just kind of came out of nowhere. And as soon as I wrote it, I just went, I was just like, I feel better now, kind of, That's the beauty of music. That was the quickest track to come together. We were listening to a load of Killers and we played with the synths and stuff like
Okay.
that, and that kind of came in. But yeah, it was fun.
By the way, I'm really glad to hear about your dad that he recovered,
Thanks, man.
because I've been there myself, and especially, you know, when you and your dad, you have such a close relationship, and when he goes to
Yeah,
all of your gigs, you know, this is just, you know, I can't imagine, you know, how what a challenge for the whole family that is. So knowing that
yeah.
he's
Thanks,
better,
man.
that's really important.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, I kind of was. I suppose I was really naive to it, and it's kind of woke me up about it. Because as I mentioned, like you just never think you're gonna get it or someone you love's gonna get it. So yeah, I totally am doing everything I can to support them causes now. But yeah, thank you. Cheers, bud.
The second one on your EP is, well, the song that introduced you
Yeah,
to me.
yeah.
Don't play with a heart. What does it mean for you, and maybe what is the message that you want people to feel or hear while listening to the track?
It's a game of cat and mouse between yourself and a lover, and going back and forth, and you shouldn't be doing it, but you want to do it. Kind of just playing each other's field and just going back and forth until the point where you can't take it anymore. And then lyrically, it doesn't tell you that, but musically, it does, because there's a massive eruption at the end where, like, I can just picture. We should have done it in the music video where there's a heart going. The main thing about Don't Play with the Heart musically is that we wanted it to be really fun, and we wanted it to be really accessible to everyone, and we wanted people to, when they hear it, they want to hear some more. So it's kind of got like an element of everything in Don't Play with the Heart. It's got the rockiness at the end, but then it's also got my acoustic guitar in it, and it makes you want to dance, and it's got big vocals, and it's kind of just the perfect first single for this EP. Although at the time, I didn't know it would be the perfect single. It was really important to put it at number 2, just because Issues for me is what I wanted to be the opener, and always did want it to be the opener. But I wanted to put Don't Play with the Heart early on the track, just because it was the first single, and I feel like if it came out first, it should kind of be down the line first.
How important is the order of the track, the way they stand in the EP? How were you making those decisions?
It was tough. It's the most frustrating part for me. We had so many different versions of what was the track listing was going to be. I really had to spend a good few months listening to these songs in different orders. I just had that feeling of that's the one. And I said to myself, and I was like, listen to yourself. This is the order. Stick with this one. You'll be fine. So yeah, they're really important, man, because they're stories, you know. And I want this whole EB to be a journey, you know. I kind of, as much as I'd love everyone to sit down with headphones on and listen from 1 to 6, it's it's quite hard. I don't think a lot of people will, but the people that do, I think they'll appreciate that. So that's why I find it really important, track listing wise. And I kind of geek out quite a lot about it. Like for instance, Harry Styles, his debut album, and his first single was a 5.5 minute ballad, and his opening track was like this indie, mysterious, strange thing that I just couldn't get my head over. I was like, how has he released that first? Why has he released that first? That's unreal.
Is it
Why has he done that?
Sign of Times? Or
Yeah, Sign of Times is the single, but on the record, it was a song called Meet Me in the Hallway.
oh, okay.
And it's kind of got like a Pink Floydy type vibe to it. And the closing track on that as well is a really intimate song. It's almost got like a Nirvana feel. There's so many other albums that I kind of geek out to, and I think it's really important. Like, obviously, the opening track's got to be something that means something to you, and it's got to make the listeners go, right, I'm going to listen to the rest of this record. So I'm glad Issues was your favourite. So we're off to a good
Mm.
start.
It took me by surprise, and you always kind of treasure those moments, because we already have certain kind of image of the artist or of their music. I was completely blown away. The stuff that you and your band can do musically with sounds and stuff, it's just incredible. But Issues was like, okay, it starts starts in a similar pattern, but there's like, I was like, what? Just bang my head, by the way, in the wall as well. But that's how
That's
small my
brilliant.
place is. But
Have you seen the music video for Pretender by Foo Fighters? Where they're in like this massive like warehouse, and they're performing, and then like halfway through the song there's this just massive flood, and he goes like that, and it floods past them, and they're still playing. Your reaction was
yeah,
perfect.
yeah,
That's exactly what I wanted from every listener, to go fuck, type of thing.
there has to be a story that the artist wants to share, right?
Right,
But
right.
if they're listening from the beginning until the end, you want to be taken on a journey. I'm glad
Right.
you took your time, because I've been listening for an EP like for the last 2 hours, like on repeats.
Yeah.
It was just going and spinning, and I was like, oh, I can't wait to get it on my Spotify. It's going to be easier than SoundCloud.
Yeah. Yeah. No, thanks, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate that. I love that you kind of appreciate the track listing as well. I think that's really cool.
This is such an underrated place for an artist to be actually creative to the end. Telling the story in the way the songs are displayed is, I like you referenced Harry Styles as an example. Like for me, there's this German, well, it's a solo band, Enigma. It's actually
Yeah.
one guy who's now in 60s, 70s, and he's still doing music. Every single album since the very first one that was released in 1990, all songs are connected. So when you're listening to the official album,
Yeah.
you don't have a break, you don't have a stop. It's all continuous. It does take you places.
That's
So
amazing.
I'm glad that that it's important for you as well. So the third track on the EP is one that people have never heard before.
Yeah.
It's a statement of a title, "We'll Never Be Lovers." Tell me more.
It's my favorite track. It's a full band ballad taken by a modern synth trap sound. It's just very different. It's probably the most out there song on the EP. It's a song that I fell in love with. I went into the studio session writing this for someone else. This was one that I just couldn't let go, and it stayed with me. And as I mentioned, synth and electronic sounds of like The Weeknd and stuff like that. But we added our own type of sound to it through the guitars. And yeah, I was just like, where the hell do we put this on the EP? I know it wants to go on there, but I don't know where I'm going to put this. So I'm like, let's put it in the middle. Let's do this. Let's put a spanner in the works and put it right in the middle. And we're kind of using, so you got Issues, Don't Play the Heart, and we wanted this to be the bridge. We wanted this to be the Passover to the other songs, and we've been rehearsing it. And it's just so different. It's so different compared to anything else. No one's heard it apart from yourself and the band and the producers. I'm excited. I think it's going to get a few interesting reviews. That's all I'll say. I think it's not going to be expected by anyone.
After Issues, to hear that, you're like, what? I mean, and it's a very positive what, because now I just realized that you're full of surprises in a very good way. And when it comes to you releasing something new, I would always be taken by a surprise. And it just shows the versatility of who you are as an artist, because you can bring so many different sounds, and actually the way your voice changes in different songs. It's incredible. I think this was the song when I was listening, is like, wait, am I still on the same EP, or is like a SoundCloud
Right.
is playing with it and giving me some recommendations, because like this
That's
is
brilliant.
something very different,
Yeah.
and this is beautiful. I'll never forget when Florence and the Machine released the first album. Every single song on that album sounded like another person, and I have that feeling with you. Different story needs different emotion, and and it connects
Yeah.
with a different time for you in life, right? So, and when you put it out like that, it's brilliant. It's just
Thanks.
brilliant.
Yeah. No, thank you. Yeah, it's a moody love song. It's a heartbreaking love song. This was definitely towards the back of the writing process, and a lot of the writing process was these rocky songs like Devil of the Night and Issues. We've got a bunch of other ones which we will release at some point. Um, but I just wanted to do something really different. I just wanted to go into the session, write something that wouldn't be for me. Found this totally different vibe and different mood, and it made me write and made me sing different. And I was just like, I love this too much to let it go, and I want this record to be diverse, and I want different sounds, and I want to take people by surprise, and then go, is this Connor? Just like you said, is it shuffled? And I want people to go, oh shit, and then like over a period of time, it will make sense to people. Because to now, for me, it makes perfect sense. It's like, yeah, that's a massive part of the Devil of the Night EP. But to start with, is people are going to go, what? You know, so yeah, it's one that excites me like so much, just for the fact that it's very different. Like seeing your reactions to these songs that no one's ever heard just makes me smile, because this is what I've been
It's
waiting
just following your plan.
for.
How crazy is that?
I know. It's kind of like it's really rewarding and really like pleasing, because as you said, it was part of the plan, and to see it's worked for you, who's massively into music and spends their whole life in music, it's great. So fingers crossed, everyone else likes it too.
How do you feel like when you put music out, when the song is written and it's online, that it's no longer yours, right? It belongs to everyone. And does it
Mm,
really matter for you if people kind of like it or they don't like it? I mean, of course, we want that to kind of connect,
yeah,
but how much that bothers you, or just do you think about it, or you just continue on doing something else?
you want everybody in the world to absolutely love and adore your songs, but they're not going to. Um, there's going to be people that don't like the record. There's going to there's hopefully going to be people that love the record. You know, um, when I released the first EP, I was definitely in the mindset of, I hope everyone loves this, and if they don't love it, then let's just stop making music, in such a bad, unhealthy way. But the truth is, as long as you're happy with what you're releasing, it's the same with anything. As long as you're happy in what you're doing in that relationship or this group of friends, if it makes you happy, then that should be. And if anyone else likes it, then in my mind, that's a bonus. You know, you asked like, how do I feel when I release music? It's kind of like, if you see me next Friday, I will be like a roller coaster. I will be, people love it, people hate it. Like the Thursday night where you stay up and like when it comes out online, like, is it live? Is it live yet? That's that's like Christmas Day. You know, like that's when it turns to Christmas. You get that like butterflies feeling in your tummy. And then it comes out and you see the reviews come in, and then you see people sharing it and liking it. It's such a weird feeling. It's like, oh, these songs are good. People do like these songs. Like, because after having them for a year, you kind of like, are they good? Do people like these? Or is it just me that thinks they're good? And like getting reassured. Like when you said Issues was your favorite track, and no one's heard that yet, that kind of just makes me like, just settles myself, you know, kind of settles the nerves and settles and like reassures me that no, that is a good song. That you should be happy about that. I just go into these writing sessions and recording sessions and do my best and do what's best for that song. And if we're all feeling the song and we're all really enjoying it, that's the most important thing. You know, I think a recorded record, studio record, and live are two different ball games. You know, like focus on this record, this recorded record, and playing it live. That's something you focus on afterwards. And personally, I really enjoy going into a session and playing these new songs without actually playing them live yet. And like that feeling of playing, like on the 26th with this EP release, we're going to be playing 3 new songs that no one's ever heard yet to a big crowd, which is nerve-wracking, but like there's no other feeling like it. It's amazing, and it's just something I'm really excited for. I love the element of surprise. So like when you said like you were surprised by these songs, that makes me so happy because I love the feeling of having something in the locker like these songs and then just holding them until the right moment and letting them go, you know, because there's like a little man in the back of my brain that says, release the song now, go play it live now, go show the world now. It's like, I've got to get so many things ready before I show the world these songs, you know, like music videos, marketing, press releases, radio, booking gigs, you know, like if I want to give this song its best chance to be successful, then I don't want to go play it live and the first time someone hears it is through an iPhone of someone recording it. I want it to be through the shitload of money we've put into it, where people are going to listen on their headphones, you know?
I like this.
I know, and then that's going to be everyone's mindset before the song's released. You know, like, oh yeah, I heard that on someone's phone, like, kind of wasn't into it, you
Yeah.
know, but you haven't heard the studio version yet, like, so for someone like me, who's a very who's kind of like in the beginning of the career, not a very well-known artist at all, like, I think I should do everything I can to make sure that when I release something, it creates a reaction. If you are a massive artist like James Bay or Sam Fender, I saw he played a few new songs live, and that's great because his massive fan base is being like, "Oh, he played a new song. This, I can't wait for that to go on the record," because everyone knows Sam Fender, you know, and everyone's kind of like, "Oh, he's writing. I love this. I love that new sound he's doing." But like, kind of, I'm still in the stages of, as I said, trying to make a reaction and be heard, and still kind of trying to get my name out there. I feel like playing the whole record live before it's out goes against everything I'm putting into recording and writing this record. I feel like it would almost damage it, you know. Mm.
I really like this concept because it shows that you are serious. And
Right.
I think this part is missing in so many artists when it's not just put music out there, it's what you do next, because it's
Yeah.
just the beginning. It doesn't stop there, right?
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back. So we're halfway through the EP.
Yeah.
So the fourth track is Deeper. You were saying that when kind of this track represents you going through some difficult times in your
Mm.
life, and um, can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it kind of resonates throughout the whole record. That I mean, I touched on the subject with issues earlier. Without me purposefully doing it, it always kind of just bled its way into each writing process. Um, so even though I'd go into a session in a good mindset and be like, right, let's write something. When it came to putting down pen to paper, I can't help but just write what's in my mind, and I can't help but put my feelings down to paper. I didn't want people to come and listen to these songs and feel like sad or feel they weren't enjoying it. So I wanted to make it really fun through the music. Yeah, even though the lyrics are heavy hitting, I wanted Deeper's like a blend of pop, hip hop, loads of different stuff in there that kind of just it kind of dampens the bruise of the lyrics. Deeper and Don't Play the Heart were kind of stood out as the singles, you know, like the first two. We just had a load of fun in the studio. Um, and even at home, like creating it, we kind of just got a buzz in the studio around like, let's try this, let's try that. Like, we shouldn't do that, but let's do it. And it kind of paid off, and it just makes me smile whenever I listen to them. Deeper is a blend of the first record that I released, the Devil of the Night record, and like judging by what I'm writing now of what's to come, it felt like it was the right thing to put it at track 4 after We'll Never Be Lovers, because it's quite a serious type of change of pace throughout the record, and was like, right, let's hit them with Deeper after that.
Then the fifth track is the title track. How did you come up with the title, and what does the song kind of mean for you?
Yeah, the title came through the melody. So I had this melody on the guitar, which is the opening riff. It was da 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 da, and then I was kind of like, humming that for a while, and I had that in my notes for so long, like my voice notes on my phone. And then I don't actually remember the exact moment where Devil of the Night came out, but it must have been a lot of trial and error. And then that came out, and it was just kind of, it stood out to me, and it felt like I knew the song before I'd written it. When I just heard the title, I knew where it was going to go. It kind of feels like Devil of the Night's obviously like a dark, and then with the devil somewhat how in my mind related to a rock music, and the nighttime again being moody. And yeah, people can take these 6 songs, and I want them to mean something to them that may not be the same meaning in my mind. You know, I know exactly what these songs mean to me, but if it means someone to someone else and it helps them, or it motivates them, or it does anything to them, I wouldn't want to change that. So I really want people to listen to these songs and take away what they want from it. This song was the first written, and it's the title track. And yeah, I'm just super proud of. I feel like this one leads the way for all of them to kind of unfold, because that's what the writing process done.
And I think it's fair to say that it kind of sets the tone for the record.
Yeah.
Because even though it's a third single, but when you say that that was the first track written with the intention of being on the first EP,
Yeah.
I kind of understand the strategy and maybe the overall sound, how it impacted and maybe shaped the other songs that were released before but actually were written after.
Yeah.
We already kind of mentioned a bit about the last track, Reaching Out, that it was, so as I understand that these 5 tracks that you just kind of described were those 5 tracks that you mentioned that were written, and then you felt like something was missing, and then Reaching Out came to life.
That's it. Yeah, we had them 5 songs were done. As I mentioned earlier, I just listened to these songs continuously to try and get the track listing right. And I was out doing a driving job, and I can't remember where I was. It was like 3 hours away, and we'd left really early. And it was about 7:30 in the morning, and I was listening to the songs in the car, and I rung Nick, and he wasn't up yet. So I went, "Huh, what's wrong? What's up?" I was like, "Nick, there needs to be a solo track on the record." He was like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "The Devil of the Night EP. Then we need to write a solo track." He's like, "Okay." I just don't know why. I just felt the need to ring him and tell him. And the same, I've done the same with the producer, and we all kind of like, we all sat in and listened and was like, "Yeah, I think you're right. I think we need something that kind of just brings it back to you being a songwriter." But the thing that's different is the piano. It's the first song I've ever written on the piano. If it's going to go on this Devil of the Night record, let's again not give people what they expect. Me and the acoustic guitar, let's give them me and a piano. I'd say that and Issues are really close to my heart, and they're kind of the same story. They're both about me trying to get through last year, or me trying to get to where I want to be in my career. They're both about the industry, and they're both about kind of like the battles of getting there. And like, I'm reaching out. That's what I'm doing. I'm writing this record, and I'm putting all my money into this record to reach out to people to listen, and to hopefully get on board, and be part of this crazy journey that we're on. Again, I toyed with where to put this in the track listing, and I kind of just feel like it was a really nice way to finish the record, and like one you wouldn't expect listening to the first 5. So yeah, it's going to be fun playing this one live with the piano. It should be
So
fun.
will you be playing piano yourself then?
Yeah, I'll be playing the piano myself. And yeah, I've been practicing and kind of
So is piano a completely new instrument for you, like to play?
completely, yeah, completely. I can dabble in it, and I can play a few different chords, and different shapes and things like that. But yeah, I just love the sound, and it made me write so different. Just literally just by changing the instrument, I felt like I was a completely different writer. I felt like I was even melody wise and lyrics wise, and the way the song was going, I kind of just, I felt like, sorry, my text is coming through. I felt such a different approach to it. It felt great, and I wrote a few songs, and we sat down, was like, which one should we choose? And then we just thought this one kind of, again, kind of grabs the attention. And I felt really good vocally for it, so we was just like, yeah, let's go with reaching out.
You already said that you had a lot of songs that you were writing before kind of finalizing the EP. I know that 6 songs made it, and one was very last, like the final ad,
Yeah,
right, without even being written. So, how many songs, like out of that process, you kind of end up left with, that potentially we could hear in the future, but that didn't
yeah.
kind of end up on this EP?
I think there was around 30. I think we wrote 30 tracks. Um, and it's strange because when we got put into lockdown in March, I thought I'd go back to them tracks and kind of the ones that didn't get put on the other 24 or whatever there was that didn't get chosen for the EP and kind of work on them. But we kind of just started from scratch again. And like now we've written we've written like the EP number 3 or possibly album number 1 already. Like it's been written, and Devil of the Night EP isn't even out yet. I need to write songs. If not, everything in my mind and everything in my mood will drag me down and kind of just play on my mind if I don't put pen to paper. There's stuff that we've written in lockdown about lockdown, and I kind of feel like they need to come out sooner rather than later. So yeah, I think we'll put this Devil in the Night EP out, and there's definitely not going to be a 2-year gap to the next one. I think we're looking at starting again, maybe the start of next year. Um, yeah, I'd like to get some remixes, and we might do some acoustic versions of some of the tracks to release around Christmas time.
Remixes. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. We've had a few artists get in touch saying, "Would you be up for us remixing like Devil of the Night?" And we said, yeah, definitely. I want to get the EP out first, and I want to let that do its thing, and then potentially towards the end of the year we'll get some remixes out, which would be cool.
Mm, can't wait. You're full of surprises.
We're yeah, there's a song that we wrote called Breakaway as well that I thought was 100% going to go on the record, but it just didn't. It just didn't feel right. Putting it on the record is a completely different thing. Um, so it's been recorded as well. So I think we're gonna maybe put that on a B side. Like I think the next the next single that comes towards the end of the year or start of next year, I think Breakaway will go on as a part of that as well. Um, I don't know why, it just has a really close place to my heart, and we've played it live a few times. It's funny, like choosing the songs, like because I was adamant that Breakaway was going to go on this record, and then it just didn't. A completely different sound, and it's from a completely different time. It will come out at some point, I imagine.
So now you said, okay, you're releasing EP next week, but you already like basically finished writing a record in
Yeah.
for the future, right? How does that sit with you as an artist when sound might be very different to what you're working on the new record? Because this year was a crazy one, right? And as I
Mm.
understand, a lot of songs which are like or are on this EP, they were recorded more than a year ago, right? And
Mm.
in that time, uh, you've written so many songs. Is it hard for you as an artist to be performing certain songs that people think it's current, but it's not really current for you anymore? While you know that I have shitloads of coming that are going to be very different, but you are not still performing. Like, how does that work for you
That's
in
such a
general?
good question, man. I'm so glad you asked because that must go into every artist's head, especially massive artists. But yeah, it does. Like obviously, as soon as you write a song and you feel good about it, and there's a massive buzz around it in the studio. You're like, I want everyone to hear this, and I want them to hear this straight away. But it takes time to create the campaigns. It takes money to create the campaigns for them. And as we mentioned earlier about giving it the songs its best chance, you've just got to really trust the process. And you've like there's songs we've written in lockdown that I wish went on the Devil of the Night EP, but that's not part of that record. It's not. It's the wrong time and it's the wrong mindset. So you've got to trust the process. And like as I meant when we were talking earlier, and you said that you really loved Issues and you were surprised by We'll Never Be Lovers, and that's exactly what I wanted, and that was all part of the plan. It's only because you put so much time into these songs, and you have an idea in your head of how you want to release them and when you want to release them and which one will come first. You've just got to really trust yourself and keep reminding yourself that there will be a time where this comes out and it will be the right time. But giving everybody everything at once with zero marketing and zero and no plan for the campaign is not going to do you any good. You know, like Devil of the Night was written in the end of 2018. You know, it's a long bloody time ago. I've wanted people to hear that song for so long, and now they have, and it's doing really well, and it's the title track of the record. I kind of like reassured myself, like, right, this process works. Let's keep doing that.
I believe strongly that it's a suicide for an artist who doesn't have a decent following to put out an album, not
Right.
even an EP, but an album without any teasers, any singles, any fuzz online. Like it's just suicide. I see people do that, and I never understand what's the point.
No.
Maybe artist wants to have that. Oh, I have an album on Spotify, but if it's listened to 50 people, will not be satisfied
No.
because you really then feel like, oh my god, I've put so much money, because it does cost money if you're doing
Yeah.
it the right way. Even if you're doing it at home, we need to look at your time is money as well.
Yeah.
So, and artists don't necessarily kind of count or value that, but they should, because
Yeah.
you can be doing so many things, right? But you are
Yeah.
doing music, so you need to just track and see how
Yeah.
much of your heart and soul and time goes into that. I'm really thrilled to follow you on this journey. From the conversations that we already had, it does feel that it's been a roller coaster, right, in the last several years. And no matter what happened, those stories or journeys that you kind of experience. But I'm
Mm.
actually really happy that it happened, because otherwise, the music would not
Right.
be here, and that would
Yeah.
be really, really sad. So I believe that everything happens for a reason. We meet people for a reason. We have experiences for a reason, and those experience channel into music is the best
Yeah.
thing. Yes, it can be extremely bloody painful to
Yeah.
cope with it at that particular time, but
Yeah.
being brutally honest as you are, and having the right band and the right team around you, that you can kind of have that support network,
Yeah.
is what can potentially make it work. And you already showed that it's possible to make it work, right? And now it's just about finding that right person to actually discover your music and be like, oh my god, this is brilliant, this should be in arenas, because your
Right.
music should be in arenas.
Oh, thanks,
And,
man.
and don't worry about the fact that you were not chosen for Ed Sheeran a year ago. It just wasn't the time.
Yeah.
Like it
Yeah.
wasn't the
You
time.
know.
Like, look, now you have a very different sound, you have a very different record. It too could have been influenced by you maybe going there.
Right.
Or for example, maybe you going there would even distract you from doing the record to begin with.
Right.
So you never know. I remember I saw Ed Sheeran live in Lithuania. It was 2014,
Mm.
and they announced the opening act, and I was like, oh my god, poor guy. Like, no one cares about the opening act of Ed Sheeran. If we really, if
Yeah.
you're really brutally honest, no one cares. It was a small arena, maybe 20,000 people. That Ryan Keane was the artist, and he was with a guitar. After the first track, I was like, wow, this was better than Ed Sheeran.
Wow, really
And
amazing.
it blew me away because I have no idea what music, he does, what to expect. And he was so genuine, and it just clicked.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, 4 or 5 years later doesn't mean that he has a successful career, even
right.
though he was opening for Sheeran.
It's
you know
crazy, isn't it?
that
Yeah,
doesn't necessarily
mad.
mean anything. And
Yeah.
it's really sad, to be honest.
It's hard because as soon as like he announces that he's supporting Ed Sheeran, there'll be so many people going, Ryan's made it. Ryan's there. Ryan's going to be the biggest artist in the world. Congratulations, man. You made it. And it's like, I totally understand why you'd think that, but it's not, and that's probably the most frustrating thing about this. Like you can do so many great things, but there's absolutely zero short-term success in music. You've really got to have a plan after a plan, and you've really got to have a great team around you, and you've got to put in the work. And that's what we're doing at the state at this moment in time. And as you say, it just the music industry may be a little messed up that they didn't. I don't know if he was with the record label or what, but you'd think you'd really want to jump on that opportunity. So like after the tour's done, right, let's release a record and let's do like a little headline tour and get you on another big support tour. And it's just like it's the smoke and mirrors of the music industry. It baffles me. It's a crazy old game. Very it's not what people think. I That's what I perceive anyway.
Yeah, if only someone could actually crack the code how to be successful in it, right? I mean, there are so many books, so many people who
Yeah.
are giving advices, but at the end of the day, I I strongly believe that it's down to the people that you know,
Mm.
because the people that you know personally, they have potential of opening the doors. There are so many stories where artists got signed just because that the person that they were working with, early in the career, started working for a label just because of that relationship that they already had. They actually had a bigger deal.
Yeah.
And for me, it's a mystery as well. How do you push yourself out there, right? And not overdo it. I believe that, you're one of the few really good examples from the artists that we follow who I think nail the concept of how to manage your socials, because too many people are like, oh, they're active only when there's something is coming musically, but they're dead when nothing is happening. And
Right.
you have so much content that you put out which is different. You show your personality. I can see what you like, what you struggle with, and it kind
Mm.
of gives that, it creates the connection. And when you have the connection, you actually care about the person and you want to help them, right?
Yeah.
And if it's going to be just, hey, I'm releasing EP tomorrow, and you were not on Instagram for a year since your last EP, good luck.
I think a lot of artists in the early stage are guilty of expecting people to listen. Like you have to put in the work and develop friendships and engagement and keep ticking everything over for when you do have something like the ultimate thing is releasing a record. So when I have the EP Devil Night coming out next week, I've done everything in my power to get as many eyes and ears on this record when it comes out. But that's all part of learning, and like I'm sure there's a time where my social media was terrible, and I would only post once a week and things like that. But in this day and age, like Instagram is your bread and butter. I think, like that's that's as big a marketing place and as big a big as big a tool as any. Like in terms of engaging with your fans, you like literally just directly going into the direct messages and chatting to them, and you can do all sorts on there. So yeah, it's took me a long time to kind of get a hold of the right strategies and get the right content out and try and figure out Instagram. I'm still definitely not there, but I'm getting there.
It's
But
a very difficult game.
Yeah, it's super
it's extremely difficult,
yeah.
because at the end of the day you're thinking like, well, okay, what's the point? I'm putting a post, but what is the point behind this? And if it's the right thing to do, if people really need this, or I'm just doing it to fill in the day, that, oh, I'm posting. I believe that we can talk for like 24 hours, but I'm just
Yes.
conscious, first of all, of your time. I'm pretty sure that you have so many things to do, and your admin to-do list, when it comes to, still you have a week to prepare, and both for the show and for the EP, must be mad. If someone would come to you and say, tell me, what kind of help do you need to help you in your music journey? Are there any specific things that you would be like, yes, I have a list? What are you missing at this moment? What could actually maybe help you get to the next level?
It's a good question, man, and I ask myself this every day. Like, what do I need? What's the next step? And like, obviously, we're going through a pandemic, and we can't play live properly, but we're going to be playing live. But I feel like there's no better way to market your record or showcase yourself than playing live. And I think playing to as many people as possible is super important. So I'd absolutely love to get on a tour, get on a support tour, with a indie rock or indie pop band that are similar to me, and go showcase this record live. And when we can, like, hopefully some point next year, if we're back up and running properly, that's definitely what I'm looking at doing. Is going to play live in different parts of wherever. Obviously the UK will be easiest, but if it's global, then let's do it. So yeah, I'd say that, like, I obviously absolutely love writing songs and producing songs and playing live, but I'm beginning to love the other side of it as well. I'm beginning to love creating a campaign for the EP and sorting stuff like this. Like, I obviously absolutely super appreciate your time, and I absolutely love that you've dived into this record and asked great questions about it. And it kind of just, it's just like,
Thank
wow,
you.
this is a great thing to do. If I could have one wish, it would to be on a big support tour with a big act next year. So if there's anyone that knows that's watching, get in touch.
Well, I really appreciate your kind words. I'm so honored that you reached out to me, and you suggested to have this conversation, because I do feel like a special bond, even though we haven't met in
I feel
person.
it.
And this is the most bizarre thing. And if I think that if it wasn't for the 2020 pandemic, that would not be the case. It's absolute pleasure, and thank you so much for being so open, because it's very easy to, let's have a chat and have these kind of answers that are very scripted, which would be the case if you would be signed to a big label.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's very different to actually to hear real stories, and especially when you were getting a bit emotional, and that just shows you in different sides of who you are, because that translates into your music, and the record is diverse. It starts with a kid, represents that roller coaster that you were experiencing. I can really hope that people will discover Devil of a Night EP and will have their favorite track on the record, and that they would not be selfish just by listening to themselves, but they would actually just sharing and spreading with others, because it's definitely, I will repeat myself, you have the sound ready for arena. I really hope that 2021 will be that year. It's been a journey for you, and it's just the beginning. So you know what you're doing, you have the right people around you, and I will be following all the way. And
Thanks.
um, once again, congratulations, because it does mean a lot to be releasing a record, and especially when it means so much for you.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate kind words. It's nice to, it's really nice to have someone that's heard the record and kind of like believes in it as well as myself. So yeah, we'll have to get you along to a gig, and we'll have to meet for a beer. It'd be nice. Hopefully, it won't be too long. It'd be nice for you to kind of see the live side as well, because obviously you've just heard the studio stuff. So
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, yeah, because the video that you did, like, it I mean, the from the diary that you did, that
Right.
in that kind of video, I mean, I loved how you're performing, you know, the live side, but seeing it live is very different, because then you're experiencing the rawness of the emotion, you know. So yeah,
Yeah. Awesome.
I'll try to find my way to be there. Yeah,
Okay,
if
awesome.
you can squeeze me in, I'll be there.
100%.
It's time. It's time.
It is time. It's been far too long.
It's
But yeah, man. Thank you so much, and I'm glad you love the record. And yeah, not long till it's out.
yeah.